Hello, and welcome to Beyond Books, where we talk about books and always go beyond. I'm your host. I'm Renee, co-host Raina. You'll see her wandering in and out of the frame there. It's a beautiful day, so I'm going to do a tag today outside, and we're rocking the Stones. Got a pile of books here, and I'm going to take on the Isaac Newton tag. This is an original tag from Reading Ideas, and I was tagged by, I know at least 2 people, maybe a little bit more. If I missed anyone, I apologize, but I know I was tagged by Gavin at Genre Books and Pat at Book Chat with Pat, where she's always glad you're here. It's kind of like Cheers, where they always know your name. But it always makes you feel good when Pat says, I'm glad you're here. So, I too am glad you're here, watching my channel today. So, number 1 is an adopted or sent away or abandoned. This is a book with a character that is adopted, sent away, or abandoned. So, for that I chose Push by Sapphire. The main character in this, Precious, is basically kind of given up on. Everybody's given up on her. They don't know what to do with her. She has some aspects of her that are adult-like, because she's had a baby already, even though she's only 12 years old, and she's pregnant with another one. But in other ways, she's extremely immature. And her thoughts, which she shares willingly in the book, are, pretty antisocial. So no one knows what to do with this character, but she's an unforgettable one for me. So I would say that she's somebody definitely abandoned, given up on. And in the end, there is hope that she's risen above some of that. Number 2, Use or Measurement of Time. A book where time is a crucial element. Well, for that I chose a book that I listened to on audio, actually several years ago. It comes from, I think, 2006. And I've been on a Stephen King thing lately. So this book is Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. And it is the first of the Bill Hodges trilogy. I don't believe I read any of the others, but in that one, especially at the end, time is very, very crucial, and Stephen King brings you painstakingly through every second leading up to its conclusion. So whenever I think about time just ticking by slowly, I think about that book. Number 3 is A Test of Strength, a book where the character has to pass a test of strength. Well, I told you I've been on a Stephen King thing lately, and I didn't even bring out the book. Hello. But anyway, the book I was thinking of for that is Gerald's Game. Now, this one is another Stephen King book, and in that book, a couple actually, start out with them. They are doing some different bedroom games, and don't seem to have a safe word, and also are using police handcuffs, and really aren't probably in the greatest place in their relationship for that kind of a situation. Circumstances happen, and the woman ends up chained to the bed by herself. So it really becomes a test of endurance for her and strength, physically, from being chained in a certain position, like all the time, for hours at a time, and not having access to water, not having access to food, or any kind of entertainment other than her thoughts, which are getting carried away with themselves. So there's an element of fear there. There's an element of fear that she's never going to be able to get out of there. And it truly is a test of strength, what she ends up doing, in order to save herself. So I'd pick that one. Number 4, character with a dark side or temper. A book where a character has a dark side or a temper. Okay, so for that, I chose a book that I just finished reading, maybe a week ago, if that. And that book is called Stolen. It is here. Something's stuck on my book. That's disgusting. Don't know what that is. All right. Luckily, I have a napkin. Let's see. If I can get to the cover page, I'll show you what it looks like. But anyway, this book is about a young lady who is part of the Sami people of Scandinavia. They are the indigenous people in Scandinavia. They are reindeer herders, and someone is messing with the reindeer. Someone is killing the reindeer, even though they don't have the rights to them and shouldn't be doing that. And they're not doing it in a very good way. I mean, they're not just hunting the reindeer. They're actually doing things that torture the reindeer, like chasing after them with snowmobiles and things of that nature. So, she's very angry about it, and is really kind of, for a younger child, because the book starts out when she's only like 8, 9 years old, she's really looking for revenge. And so a lot of that is what the book is about. And just about, her life in general and some of the other challenges that she has. It was an interesting book. So number 5, A Quest That Destroys a Personal Life. A book where a quest is deemed so big that the character either chooses to have no personal life or it is destroyed. Well, for that, I don't know if the personal life was really necessarily destroyed. I don't want to speak for this person, but it made me think of a book that I read, I believe in March, Ghost Town Living by Brent Underwood. I don't want to speak for him and say that his life is destroyed or ruined, but his life has certainly been changed by taking on this ghost town. He and some friends are invested in the town. It's called Cerro Gordo. It's in California, and it is one of the largest areas of mines for silver, turquoise, all kinds of different ore, ever in the U.S., probably in the world. In today's dollars, it would be billions of dollars that have been taken out of this area through mining. And so, he's turning it into a destination. So it's a lot of work. There's old buildings there. One is the American Hotel, which you may have heard of. It's been on some of the shows that are about haunted things and stuff like that. But early on, when he first bought this town, which was around the time of COVID, so approximately almost 4.5 years ago, early on, that hotel burned down, and he's had to try to find a way to rebuild that. So he's learned a lot of new things, taken on a lot of new things, but certainly has a different life than what he had previously. So, Ghost Town Living. Number 6, a questionable decision. So that would be where the main character makes a questionable decision. So I'm going to choose for that Interesting Facts About Space. This was the book of the month for, I think, January, and it is by Emily Austin. The main character actually makes a lot of questionable decisions. She's a little different in her approach to things, and so sometimes she does some things where you kind of cringe. It's like, well, I wouldn't have done that. But she's an interesting character, and I enjoyed the book because of that. It's really just kind of just a little segment of her life and some of the things that are changing. She has a lot of things that are going on in the book, so I would choose that one for that prompt. So now, scale change. A book with an object or a place that goes through a scale change. Well, there's a famous one, and I'm sure a lot of us are kind of saying the same thing. Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll certainly would qualify as a book where there's scale change. But did you know? Now I've read that several times throughout my lifetime, several different versions of it, and of course everybody's seen the cartoon things and all of that. Sometimes it, rises to the level of a just kind of a big cultural icon thing, and then other times you really don't hear much about it when new and different Disney movies come out, and then again, Alice in Wonderland will be a big thing. I mean, it just it's something that we all kind of know about. But one interesting thing about it is that there is a syndrome, I don't know if you're aware, called Alice in Wonderland syndrome. It's a neuropsychological condition, and it's also known as Todd's syndrome or dysmetropsia. Dysmetropsia. It's a neurological disorder that distorts perception. People with this syndrome may experience distortions in their visual perception of objects, such as appearing smaller or larger, or appearing to be closer or farther than they are. So I found that interesting. I've never known anybody that's had that. It doesn't look like it would be fun. But there are all kinds of neurological syndromes like that, and some of them are pretty obscure, luckily. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. So number 8 is Falling or Something to Do with Gravity. A book where something or someone is falling or where gravity plays a part. So for that one I chose Good Morning Midnight by Lily Brooks Dalton. And I don't have that book because I actually, I gave it to somebody and told them just put it in the free library when they're done with it. But yeah, I reviewed that early on my channel. I reviewed the Good Morning Midnight, and it's an interesting book, and the reason I chose it for gravity is that in it, something, and we don't ever find out what exactly this is, but something catastrophic happens on the earth. And it seems that there are only 2 people left on the earth, and they are able to come into communication with each other, which is really interesting. One is down in Antarctica. He was doing research, and so he is one of the scientists that ended up getting left behind when all the other scientists left because this event was going on. The other is a astronaut who also kind of gets left behind in space with, I think, a couple of other astronauts actually stay. So they aren't the only 2 people, but they're the only 2 that are in contact with each other. So space has a big part in it. A lot of it takes place in Antarctica, thus the name Good Morning Midnight. And again, at these 2 extremes of the world, and really even off the earth, with this extreme thing that's happened, they don't even really know what it is. They're able to communicate. And it's an interesting book. It's kind of different, but yeah, I enjoyed it. So that one comes to mind with gravity. Number 9 is A Red Herring, False Trail, or Use of Codes. So a book with one of those things, or all of those things. So I chose really the one that I have is Unnatural Death, but really any of the books by Patricia Cornwell would definitely qualify for something like that, in my opinion, because I follow this Kay Scarpetta series, and of course there's always red herrings, false trails, use of codes. Her niece is skilled in computers and cyber crimes and things like that, so that always appears in there. So it's a big part of course, the mysteries that go on with the Kay Scarpetta series. Number 10, Revenge or Punishment, a book with an element of revenge. Okay, so for that I chose The Judges List by John Grisham. It is the second in a series of his about a lawyer who does ethics investigations in Florida. And she receives a tip in this story about a judge who actually, and I'm not giving away the story here because this all happens early on. A lot happens early in John Grisham novels. Uh, who she gets a tip that he is actually seeking revenge against different people throughout his life for all sorts of reasons. I mean, the man is just fixated on that. So it's interesting because we know kind of the nature of the crimes, we know who done it, but now we got to figure out, how she's going to be able to bring this person to justice. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's one of the really good, in my opinion, John Grisham books. I think a lot of people like that one. So number 12 is Rise and Fall, a book with a rise in status, followed by a catastrophic fall. For that, I chose Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grann. In this, the Native American nation of the Osage are they're very smart in the way that they set up oil rights to their land in Oklahoma, and they are able to make some money from it, in a legal, legitimate way. Like I say, they took the steps to ensure that, their them and their family members and members of their tribe would benefit from some of the oil that was found on their land. And yet, somehow, they end up getting murdered, and there's a lot of jealousy towards that. Yeah, so it turns out to be, a huge crime where the Osage are ending up, getting murdered, and the rights to their land, lo and behold, are being transferred more and more to the Anglo people in Oklahoma. So it ends up involving the FBI, which is a new bureau at the time, in order to, get some justice for people. However much was actually ended up giving out. So they made it to a movie. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. It was Book of the Month from April 2017, but a very, very good book, historical fiction. So the last one is number 13, A Genius. Which writer to you is a genius, or a book with a character that is a genius? Because I chose a book with a character, and when I saw a writer, I thought, oh, was I supposed to pick a writer? Too bad I picked a character. No. What comes to mind with this is there's a book that I read, well, I listened to it on audio probably, I don't know, 15 years ago. It's called Born on a Blue Day, and it is by an author by the name of Daniel Tammet, Tammet. It's a memoir. Mr. Tammet has autism, but he is also a genius. And he's able to do things like recite pi for hours. What else does he do? Oh, the way he thinks, like it's called Born on a Blue Day. To him, days of the week have colors. So just the way he thinks, the genius things that he can do, I mean, it's just incredible. So that was a really interesting book to listen to on audio. It definitely holds your interest. So if you ever come across that one, that's a good one for a long ride. Okay, so that is the Isaac Newton tag. Thank you so much for watching. It's getting warm out here. Time to go inside. After bringing out all my equipment, now I'm going to bring it all back in. But anyway, yeah, that'll be my exercise for the day. So thanks to those who tagged me. And if you are ready to take on the Isaac Newton tag, it's a good one. There are 13 prompts here, so you're going to be busy. choosing all of your books and looking back over what you've read within the past few years to see what you want to talk about. So, all right, everyone, take care. If you like my content, remember to like, subscribe, comment, and thumbs up, and have a great day.